Okay, what was the deal with Elias? Why do I think Elias dated Elizabeth something? And that's all I have. I locked Elias in. Just over here. Why do I think it's Elias? Oh, 1921. Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, it's that narrows it down a bit because all of his kids were 10 or younger, so they didn't. Elias is the only person that really existed, except for his husband, his wife. But his wife, we did hear. Yeah, I remember specifically. Yeah, I remember. His wife was mad about the infidelity. Okay. And that was in... Where was that? Chain due, unexpected visitor. Virginia Clementine email. This is a completely different person. That's this bit over here, right? No. Wait. You. Virginia Clementine. Yeah, I have all the surrounding pictures here, so I don't expect them to be able to offer me too much. Is the brother mentioned in that document? She specifically got reached by the lawyers first and then won't cooperate anymore, which is upsetting. Stuart's mother was named Mary Beth Clementine. Stuart, yeah, we have that filled in. Big print of adoption. Yeah, it's not where I'm gonna get it. Okay. What do I know about Elias? Six pieces. That's the recap of the entire previous game. Elizabeth, okay. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter who Sam never met, but who worked as one of Guy's secretaries. That's so many secretaries. According to Elizabeth, the caretaker from the local restaurant called Antonio's met her daughter at one of Guy's parties. Right. That's that Elizabeth. The wrong Elizabeth. This is all Guy's shit. Elias may have cheated on Gwyneth. Much kinder to Sam than Elias was. Who's Beth? There it is. Sam said her son Ernie once asked her who's Beth because of overhearing them yelling. So Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth. Let's look up Gwyneth Roottree some. Elias and Gwyneth Roottree were never really celebrities, but the general public's perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottree Candy Company has always been in somewhat high regard. This was Elias's intention as a family man and with his family brand. Since six pieces, the Candy Company has placed much less of an emphasis on Elias's historical brand-connected figure, but there have also been those who argued that it was his right to decide how to split the inheritance and that he did nothing wrong. This led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. The first Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. However, it has since seen an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decided to visit to show support for Elias and Gwyneth's traditional values and financial rights. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists, and some particularly inflammatory organizations made their pilgrimages. Yeah, that makes sense. The fact they're getting support for being homophobic in history, even though it was so far back too that no one's actually specifically standing by it today. They're still like, oh yeah, we love that homophobia happened, let's give them money. The fucking mega corporation. Amongst all this conflict, the farm has since shut down, seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later, but there's no date listed. Quotes from Bess Williams' book appear to have been taken down. Bess Williams' book. Let's go back to Elias. Where is he? Elias Roottree? They had quotes from Bess Williams' book. Show older? Photo Watchman of the Year. Can I control F? I can't control F. Is Bess Williams listed in the old version of the website? Blood is thicker than syrup, and any child linked by blood to me shall be linked by blood to my legacy. And that's not true. There's quotes from Elias from a book called Family Man, The Roottree Legacy by Bess Williams, that are massively biased. Curious about that. So we have that access to that document, and it was trash, basically. But there's still something to look into here. Look up Bess Williams herself. Bess Williams was an author born out of the late 1800s. She lived just outside Miami and died tragically young in a major hurricane that struck the area in 1926. Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book, Family Man, is widely considered blatant propaganda about Elias Roottree. It had been all but forgotten until recently when it was re-released during the height of Roottreemania. She died in 1926. So she died only 5 years after this affair with Elizabeth. There's a site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions Bess Williams. The Boca d'Oro Library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed in the hurricane. When they rebuilt, they renamed the nonfiction section after her. The library was expanded again in 1950, then closed in 1963 when multiple larger libraries opened in the surrounding area and made it redundant. So a little bit of Bess Williams news. We can look up the Boca d'Oro Library. Hello. A document. The Boca d'Oro Library no longer exists. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across... Oh, this is probably just here. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It states their hours and a list of exhibits. The building is very small, admission is free, and they only have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits is in their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author. The picture has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday, a now defunct weekly newspaper. The last is the original print of Cuba by Cubans, an art book. This might just all be relevant, honestly. As like things to look into. Cuba by Cubans. Cuba by Cubans is a book of paintings of Cuba released in 1963. It's credited to Marcia Barbin. At first glance, it doesn't seem to be related to your search in any way. At first glance? That's a suspicious way to put that. Marcia Barbin. Out of print, no copies available. Cuba by Cubans is a book. On second glance, it still doesn't seem related to your search in any way. Oh my god, you pricks. That's so fucking funny, though. Ugh. God damn it. Okay, there's a statue in front of the Miami Print Museum, formerly the Bocadoro Library, north of Miami. It sits in the courtyard and, according to the site, is said to be of an unknown author. So that's her, right? Because the library, this wing of the library became named after her. Let's see. God, what was her name? I immediately forget names so often. Bess Williams. So the Wing Library was named after her, so the statue is probably of her, because that just makes a sort of sense. We can probably rely on that. But I don't know what to do with that information. We have her face, if I need to put her face somewhere. Oh, okay. It's her, isn't it? Bess Williams, author. Who's Beth? Not Elizabeth. That's the fake out, isn't it? I'll never find anything about some secretary named Elizabeth. But Bess sounds exactly the same, probably. If you're just hearing people yell it and you're a child, you'd probably think it was Beth. Bess. It's like the same thing. I think that's where this is going. In part because of just the usual rule of just like the economy of characters and storytelling. It's unusual for them to invest this much narrative weight into a character that's not going to come up in some way. So whenever a character comes up this much, I would then try to figure out where they go in the tree. Which does not make sense in real life, just to be clear. I'm not insane. But in a fictional setting, it often makes sense. But that's also why red herrings exist, as they intentionally will invest in a particular character and have it not pan out. Because they know that you might think, they know that intuitively people think that characters that come up too much are important. So they'll intentionally overdevelop a character that's not that important, or might be important to the story in other contextual ways, but it just isn't the killer, or so on, in the mystery, and do something with that. But I think this is the character you want to go after. I wonder if the place... There we go. I wonder if the exhibit was found... No. Maybe when the library was rebuilt or whatever, that was maybe done by her child or some family member, or even Elias in some way. And that's maybe why she was immortalized, despite being somebody who wrote one bad book and nothing else that she did apparently was well received either. And that was her career, and then she died early. So it might be Elias's money that immortalized her with a statue and named a wing after her. That's worth looking into to see if we can find anything else about that. Let's see. A printing press used by the Miami Sunday. If nothing else, this tells us that the Miami Sunday is a periodical. So we can probably look her up on that. No? It hasn't added it to it, has it? Huh. A now defunct weekly paper. It is the Miami Sunday. Maybe remove the... No. She would have never changed her name if she was with Elias and then died early. At the Miami Print Museum. Library. No. I think Miami Sunday is not a lead. That's frustrating. Just because anytime they actually name a periodical, it's almost always a lead. Except I guess MTV. Can I look up MTV? MTV's not even music television. Here's something to look into. Modern Music Monthly, MTV. What? They didn't do their world. To be clear, it says nothing relevant to your investigation. I need to remember that every time. I keep using that as shorthand for there being no results, and that does not mean the same time. Where am I gonna go with this? Okay. If I think that you are the that would explain why you made propaganda for him if you were sleeping together. What do I do with that? There are more places to look up Bess Williams. Maybe more periodicals. Butler County. Charlotte's not that kind of thing. Nicotee is gossip? No. Telegraph. News time. Whatever the definition of news tends to be. I don't think I'm gonna get shit from here. Okay. Learned about... I just look up the Miami Sunday. Gotta have some kind of presence. The Miami Sunday has no records that you can find online or in your periodical search. It merged with another periodical and became the Miami Mercury Sunday, which folded after only a year. How long was the Miami Sunday around? Okay, well, let's try that then, asshole. Great. Miami Mercury Sunday is still unhelpful. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Oh, this does have its own page, though. The Miami Mercury Sunday was a newspaper that lasted only a year from 1949 to 1950. You find a small website about quirky printing history facts that mentions the Miami Mercury Sunday was the outcome of merging two smaller failing newspapers. This resulted in one larger failing newspaper, which was which is only notable to the author because by combining the names and the way they did, it was tied to the longest title. It was tied for the longest title of an American newspaper at the time, with a newspaper in Jefferson, Texas, which we will not know the name of apparently, unless. Newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. No. Okay, Miami Mercury? Oh! That one adds. So that one gets to be real. It's like, why are none of the other ones fucking real? The Miami Mercury is a now defunct newspaper that merged with the Miami Sunday. The resulting newspaper, the Miami Mercury Sunday, went out of business. It seems at some point during the process, it was at least partially archived and available via your periodical search. Okay, so this one isn't our shit. That was a fucking ludicrous little cul-de-sac. The Miami Mercury has an article about Bess Williams section in the Bocadoro Library when it was being built in 1928. It mentions that Bess's young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. It also had a later mention from 1949, the last year the paper existed, about a bidding war for a planned expansion of the library in 1950. The bidding war was won by Wildcat Construction and included a new statue, fountain, and second room that would double its shelf count. Okay. We're still on Elias? Yeah, okay. Okay. The Bocadoro. There was a Bess Williams sections of the library. So if that name was dedicated to her, and it was dedicated to her, but if any named character caused that to happen, it would have been Elias, because the son was a young orphan. But then, like 20 years later, it gets bought by Wildcat Construction, and then they add a statue. So that might be her son taking care of that. So I look into Wildcat Construction, I might be able to figure out who her son is. Wildcat Construction was mentioned once in an article you've already seen about the expansion of the Bocadoro Library. It was also mentioned earlier in 1947 under the headline Constructing a Better World. That's this article. Frank Williams. Alright, so the son's probably named Frank Williams, unless I jumped the gun here. Frank Wildcat Williams left Florida in 1941, a construction worker, and returned a hero. He won the Navy Cross for his bravery and sacrifice, having carried a fellow soldier to safety under heavy Nazi fire. Now he and his wife Ophelia unknown, famous name. We don't know her original name. Now he and his wife Ophelia are carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at home. He and his wife Ophelia are carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at home. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company, focused on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. Ophelia has handled outreach to the wives of local veterans who are able to provide insight into their husbands' needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans of the war to serve as Frank employees. The community's support has been unendingly and overwhelmingly positive. It's gotten to the point where if Frank bids on a project, other local companies have decided to step back and let his soldiers handle it. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local, let's see, 13 veterans are his employees. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected. The problem for them is that essentially Frank has a selective monopoly, but any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accusations of being un-American. It's uncertain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least for now, we're rooting for them. So if he wants to do a project just based on a reputation alone, everyone else just steps aside and lets him do it. And I'm used to bidding wars being up, but yeah, if you're talking about labor bidding wars, they're trying to bid as low as possible, which is a rough situation competitively, like to pit everyone against each other, and therefore put everyone in a situation where they're going to be being paid as little as possible. That's a rough situation for that, as opposed to letting people just name their prices. Wildcat Construction is listed in some historical records as having worked on many buildings in the Miami, Florida area. It seems to have ceased operations in 1960. Okay. We already checked the Miami Mercury for this. His wife Ophelia. Veterans. Do we have a veterans thing at all. Oh my god, there's a scroll bar now. That's scary. How many things there are. World War II. What do you mean there's nothing relevant? I'm just like, it's a broad search obviously, but I'm like, since it is supposed to filter things down to stuff that's actually relevant to your search, it's like kind of helpful overall that you just, if you search a broad term and it brings up anything, then it's probably related to what you're talking about. So this is local to Miami. So Wildcat Construction isn't very likely to come up with anything else. I'm looking up constructing a better world, but I'm already reading the article, so it's probably not going to come out anywhere else, yeah. That's just the name of this article. Not the first time World War II has come up. Because you wrote about World War II. What's the deal with that? Let's see. Author of A Life Between Wars. Oh, she suffered from Alzheimer's. That's depressing. In the wake of Six Pieces' release, Lauren Roottree, author of A Life Between Wars, was tracked down by a reporter as being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside of a small pond in the premises. That sucks. Clark's just having a time. He's just fucking getting spied on when he visits his mom at the fucking Alzheimer's home. That's rough. I wasn't reading this at first, and I realized, like, oh shit, they're saying that there's an older version, which means I'm on the new version. I should read this out loud. So I went back and read it. Oh, there's a much longer one before, yeah. But the main thing is that she wrote Life Between Wars, which is mentioned in the new version of the article too, so I'm wondering if it comes up. You can hear me slow down whenever I'm typing Roottree because I'm counting out the 2 zeros, the 2 O's, the 2 T's, and the 2 E's every time. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added it to the rest of your evidence. Hello. Why would that not have come up the first time around? That was technically part of my job the first time. And there's no pages this time, it's just this one. An entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren Rootree's diary, written in 1963. It focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs and may be more useful this time around. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago. But there is an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am unable to remain true to the ghost of a man, with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch? Someone you can joke with? So she's baffled by unfaithfulness because people are being distracted by real life people while she's so devoted to the image of a person. I don't know, that might be easier on some level to be so faithful to somebody that's not, essentially not real. Like, you married at a shockingly young age, and then he went to the war too early, and then he died. So you honestly barely had to know each other for that long. Like, it's tragic how immediately he died and how he didn't get to have a relationship, essentially. But to some extent, it does kind of feel like they didn't get to have a relationship. You get to kind of get to hold on to your high school romance and then imagine it being eternal and perfect because nothing can challenge it because he's dead forever now. It's not calling it easy or belittling her experience or anything, but like, yeah, it's like, I do think on some level this comparison is weak because it is somewhat easier to remain faithful to the idea of someone than to do the hard work of maintaining a relationship with a person that's actually there, and you're both aging and growing together or growing apart and going through actually going through the whole through the sickness and health and so on, the throes of life that they warn you about when you're being married. One of you just being gone forever does kind of simplify that. I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match, in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. And you're a 5-piece, right? No. No, Sarah and Clancy. Well, we know he sucks because he fucking excommunicated his own brother and helped write him out of the will. I was like double checking, like, you're not a 5-piece, right? You don't mean them? Because we're looking into his affair, is what we're trying to do. They make fun of my grandpop and his family sayings. Blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Elias, please remember them. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in miracle. What does that mean? One eye in miracle. I mean, literally, but obviously, but... Oh, they're making fun of him not having two eyes. Jesus, alright. So your parents did really suck. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Interesting take. I can't take these people's faces because I guess they're just not relevant preemptively, which I guess so. Bit of a spoiler to not let me take her face because she could have had an affair that she didn't disclose. Huh. What am I supposed to take from any of this? I want to focus on the stuff about the grandparents. That's just this paragraph. They make fun of my grandpop and his family sayings. Blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as weakness. Which, yeah, she replaces S's with TH. Not even my family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, they only put one eye in miracle. Oh, he's wearing glasses, yeah. So we can't see anything about his eyes here. Is it? Wait. Oh, it's the Bess thing, isn't it? I already kind of got ahead of that. I'm like, oh, those sound the same. He probably misheard it. But it's like they actually have a concrete clue, which is that her name is Bess, but it was spoken by somebody with a lisp, so it actually was said Beth. And so he actually heard it correctly. It was being misspoken. Okay. That's more shut and dry than I expected it to be, actually. So you're Bess Williams. You have a son, Frank Williams. Construction. We don't know the husband's name yet. The question is, like, how would I find Frank's photo? I should probably do a search of him, actually. Oops. If he was a war hero, he might be in the news more openly. Ah. Frank Wildcat Williams is listed on a few different military history websites. He was awarded a Navy Cross Medal in World War II, and the story goes that even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. Christ. He died in 1996, age 74, so very recently, in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. An obituary on the website of the local news channel says that that was written by his... An obituary on the website of a local news channel that was written by a surviving family also sheds light on some of his personal life. He grew up an orphan. Another orphan. Oh, because his fucking dad abandoned him, yeah. I'm like, wow, what a trend. What does it mean? It's like, because there's literally an orphanage, so I'm like, a conspiracy. They're all from the same building. Some Umbrella Academy shit's happening, and then I'm like, right. The premise is that they're all abandoned by their Roottrie fathers. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane when he was very young. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans and did a lot of jobs in and around the greater Miami area. He was a born joker and a shining light to those veterans who needed it most. An anecdote mentions that he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name. What? An anecdote mentions he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name. I assume that they didn't choose not to change her last name, but instead that this is like a joke because her name was just already Williams, because it's a common last name. Probably what's going on there. The photo is attached of Frank in his youth juggling hammers in front of one of his construction sites, as he was often known to do. According to the article, he is survived by Ophelia, as well as his daughters, Barb and Sharon Williams. Okay. Helpful. What? What? Guardian. Where are your daughters? Interesting. I think the implication here, because this is a weird family tree right here, it seems like the implication is that Barb or Sharon got married or was involved with John Doe, whoever this is, and then it was like maybe they were too young to raise a child or something, and so they had one of those weird cases where the parents like adopt their own child's child and raise them as their own, as if they're the sibling of that person. There's cases of that I've heard, at least in fiction, and I'm sure that's based on someone's lived experience. John Doe. It's just pre-filled in as a non-name. Did they die? Is there an upsetting sexual assault story I'm about to read somewhere in here? Barbara Williams. Gonna put them in an arbitrary order for now. So Barb and Sharon Williams in that order is what I'll go with. He died in Sweetwater. And everyone else is still alive as of 3 years ago. Barb and Sharon Williams. Should I look up Sweetwater, Florida? That might not matter. Frank Wildcat Williams doesn't come up in the Miami Mercury. Frank Williams doesn't either, just the company, I guess. Okay. Navy Cross. A lot of this might not matter. Alright, let's look at the picture. There he is. His eyes are so squinty in this picture. It's like either he just blinked or he's like weirdly staring into the sun during this. Oh, there's the statue. That is not a very big statue. It definitely looks bigger in the other picture. I guess not. I mean, it's the framing of the camera makes it look bigger, but looking at the nearby benches, you can tell it's not that big. This was an obituary. Nothing else to really glean from that. We know, in fact, he's a construction guy. Yeah. Frank Williams, Bess Williams, Miracle Roottree, Guy Hudson. It's a bit easy when two of the people are the fucking Roottrees. But it's good progress.
Sam reached out to me finally. I think I have you to thank for that one. My family's in a bit of a rough patch. Even though the candy is selling better than ever, everyone is fighting over the trust. The majority of us want to dissolve it. On paper, it seems like the right decision. The arguments about what to do next are endless and heated. More than a few Rootrees are worried about losing their wealth. I don't think we deserve it more than anyone else. I love my family, my wife, my daughters, even my son, who I hardly ever get to see. I want to keep them safe and secure. I didn't do anything to deserve this fortune. Hell, I probably deserve it less than most. It took me way too long to get my life together. Okay, enough about me. Here's the deal. I can't stop the majority from voting one way or another. If you keep passing along potential Rootrees, I'll keep adding them to the list. On the other hand, there's been some leaps forward in genetics. It may sound like science fiction, but we can actually determine who's in the family just by testing their DNA. What you've done so far has been very useful. Just keep filling out the tree and we'll prepare for the tests.
Was there a point to keep going if they're thinking of dissolving the trust, or am I misinterpreting that because I'm bad at finances? Is there anyone that I expected to be locked in that didn't get locked in? Uh-oh. Joanna Robertson. Joanna! What's your deal? That's worth taking a look at. Work time temp? Oh, that place, yeah. God, it's all chronological for when I looked at it, so it's like kind of hard to retrace where to go back to. Joanna Fellows. Oh. She's a cashier, because she... There you go. Alright, well, that's one for the next set of 4. I did think that someone was missing. Yeah, she wasn't. She was a secretary for Guy Hudson, but she took out the cash register from her video rental store, which means she was a cashier at the time of her death. Let's find 3 more to get the next chunk locked in then. Yeah, we still don't know Mark's job. Is prisoner a thing? Inmate? Con man? Thief? Actually don't remember what exactly we got arrested for last. Oh, he got arrested for attacking a guy. At the graduation. I'm a little distracted because my teeth hurt right now. I'm going in for another appointment tomorrow. For a different tooth. Fuck. Don't age anyone. Also take just take care of your teeth. Take too much care of your teeth. It's a very long-term thing, so it's hard to think about all the time, but it gets painful and expensive later, as it turns out. And you think it won't happen to you, but it will. Mark Clementine. Mary Beth Clementine. New Edison. Mark Crocodile Clementine. The Basket Baby of 1950. He was a pilot. I should probably put that in until I find something better. It might have been his last job by this definition. Is this at the top? Like, is this my newest? Okay, I think this is new then. A few sites about true stories focused on and around religion mention that in 1950 a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real life baby Moses situation. Apparently she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption, and someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the sites, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the Basket Baby, and even went on to tour with her as she grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of the people too closely. From context, you know it's Mary Beth Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and her son Mark, who would later be known as Crocodile Clementine. A real-life baby Moses situation. So that's intuitively what you think it means, basically, and not much further clarification. The question is he actually secretly a real baby? I mean, he's a real baby. Is he actually her baby, though, is the question. Let's see. His most recent job after Smuggler was his pilot was definitely Smuggler? No. I think it's just pilot. He's technically a pilot during his crime also. So that's something. Okay. So now I might have 2 for the next set, actually. I had to work at that one for a while because I didn't fill these 2 people's jobs incorrectly, but the mission information was there. Hopefully I'll make a bit more progress next episode.